On Saturday, President Biden stated that gun safety has to become an election issue. And CEOs of more than 200 companies have actually written letters to the U.S. Senate to try to pass gun safety legislation. And this morning, on top of all this, we now finally have an announcement that a group of bipartisan senators have reached an agreement on gun safety. This is big. This is a very big deal. The reason why is because over the past 25 plus years, there's only been 3 pieces of gun safety legislation. They've done different things. Now, not only is getting some support from a few Republicans seen as key, but this is a bipartisan agreement. Okay, there's a lot of people, a lot of Republicans that support gun safety, especially in schools, especially with people that are younger than 21 years of age. And even this morning, after the announcement was made, we even got some support from Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell. And he says that yes, he supports it. He supports this bipartisan product. That's big. And this is very important for one main reason. The Minority Leader Mitch McConnell, if he supports a bipartisan product, this bipartisan deal, it's going to make it much easier for another 9 Republicans to come out and support this within the Senate as well. And what you need to keep in mind is that the Senate is evenly divided. It's a 50-50 split, which means if we do not have 10 Republicans that vote for this and all 50 Democrats, this bill will be dead. Okay? So keep that in mind. We also learned this morning that Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, he said that he would put this bill on the floor as soon as possible. And even President Biden had this to say. And he says, "This agreement does not do everything that I think is needed, but it reflects important steps in the right direction and would be the most significant gun safety legislation to pass Congress in decades." And he's exactly right. We haven't seen very big pieces of legislation for gun safety pass Congress. There's been different things passed in the House, well, mainly in the House, but it never gets past the Senate. Okay, that's the big deal. So, this agreement that is currently being worked on, the big deal behind this is it was worked on between senators. It's not a bill that was worked on within the House of Representatives or aides. This was worked on by senators themselves. That's why it's big news. Now let's address what is actually in this new agreement, because there's one main piece of this agreement that really has a lot of people talking. The main piece to this agreement is that buyers 21 years of age and younger would actually be subject to extra scrutiny to their criminal and mental health records as juveniles. This is extremely important, especially after the Buffalo and Uvalde shootings, because I believe in Buffalo, the shooter was, I think, 19 years old. I can't remember for sure, but I know in Uvalde, Texas, that shooter just turned 18, I believe a week before the shooting. These were both juveniles, or technically adults, but they were both under the age of 21. So the difficult part between this, trying to write up this bill, and again, this is going to be extremely difficult because every single state has different laws governing juvenile records. So it could take some time. But we do know Senate aides are saying they're already working on this. So we could have some very promising news over the next few days. Now, what many Democrats really wanted was for the minimum age to purchase a weapon to go from 18 years old to 21. That was their goal. However, Republicans were really against this from the beginning. So this compromise is what has many Senate Republicans very optimistic that something can eventually get done because they are at least listening. That's the key. Even the NRA is saying that they did not want to take away people's rights, but at the same time, they support extra safety in schools. So we'll see what happens there. And if the NRA comes out and supports this, I guarantee you there's going to be a lot of Republicans that will jump on board as well. Now, this agreement also stipulates that money will go to states to enact and put in place red flag laws. Now, these red flag laws would make it easier to temporarily take guns from people that are considered potentially violent, okay, and aggressive. But the program would also add funds to improve school safety and mental health programs. And that's the big thing. And that's what everyone discusses is when there's a shooting, why? Why did the person do that? What were they thinking? Was there a big change in their life, in their attitude, their state of mind over the past few days or few weeks? And in most cases, yes, there's something that has happened that triggered that response. So we'll see what happens from that. Now, I do want to clear something up, though, that I've already gotten questions about. And the question that I got was, if there's additional spending involved, which there is, where is that money going to come from? Now, my expectation, my best guess, is this is where there's going to be a little bit of a back and forth. This is where the negotiations are potentially going to get hung up, is where do we take that money? Because we're not going to spend new money. That's not what Republicans are going to want. Now, whether we might have to do that, but if that's the case, where do we pull money? Because there's money sitting around. Every state has some money. Could we take money from the American Rescue Plan and put that money that states still have from that $350 billion? Could we take some of that money and repurpose it towards gun safety? According to a few aides just this past week, it's possible. But is that something that Republicans are willing to vote on and say, yes, let's do that? So that will be the tricky part. And again, this could potentially derail the entire agreement if lawmakers cannot come to agreement on how do we fund this. But according to congressional aides, they said this morning that they are working on the agreement, and the plan is to have a bill ready for review in the coming days. So again, it's big news that senators have reached a bipartisan gun safety agreement, but again, this is not the end. There's no bill yet. There's absolutely no bill. There's an agreement in principle. That's it. Nothing has been written down. Nothing has been voted on. And again, this has to be voted on within the House and the Senate and be signed into law by President Biden. This could take some time. So just keep in mind, yes, there is a bipartisan agreement amongst multiple senators, but at the same time, there is no bill yet. So, as always, as I know more, I promise, I'll bring you the latest news and updates as soon as we get them. But again, this could take some time. So again, just bear with me. Do me a favor. Go ahead, hit that like button. Also, consider subscribing so you never miss an update. And I'll see you guys on the next one.